What if the things we cook with every day were quietly harming us and the planet? My guest today asked that question and couldn't let it go. Mark Henry is the founder of solidteknics, and he's spent the last decade proving that you don't have to choose between a great product, a profitable business, and doing right by the world. This is Through Your Lens, and this is Mark Henry. Mark Henry, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you, Tom. It's a pleasure, mate.
Now, I want to get inside your brain today.
I don't know if you want to go there, but all right.
Well, let's wind the clock right back to toddler days, childhood days.
Yeah.
What sort of brain, what sort of curious brain did you have back then, would you say?
Oh, wow. Well, I was definitely different. I was already different as a small kid, and
in what way?
Very private, very reserved, not shy, just I preferred my own company most of the time. Had some good friends, but wasn't very social really, and never have been. But a lot of people wouldn't believe that if they've seen me at a party or in a social setting, because I do like people, just in small doses, So I've been like that my whole life, and had a lot of inspiration from my grandfather because we lived with my grandparents until I was 5 in Sydney. I was born in Sydney.
Yeah.
And he was a classic backyard inventor. And so he was always tinkering, and I was always pestering him in the workshop.
So it came from Granddad.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what was he inventing? What was he making?
The things that really grabbed my attention were not just the things he made, but the machines he made to make the things, and he didn't do it because he wanted to be a hipster artist. Like a lot of the guys back then, they did it because it was cheaper than buying it, and he made knives, workshop knives. Okay. He made fishing rods from scratch. He designed machines to make all this stuff. And and little art pieces and things, boats and things like that. So I was endlessly fascinated, and I wanted to learn how. So he was very patient with me, I know that.
Do you think children naturally have that sort of curiosity for building and doing things?
Most.
I can say hand on heart, I'm the most unhandy person in the world when it comes to building, fixing things. But I do know when I attempt it at home, my boy and my daughter as well are like very curious and they love it and they want to be involved and they want to do it.
Yeah.
You clearly had that in the backyard with your grandpa.
Yeah. No, it was great. And so I don't know, whatever it was, that combination, or who knows if genetics play a part or some brain damage at birth, I don't know, whatever it is, My version of being on the spectrum makes me good at designing things and solving problems and stripping things back to their essential. And that's why the mechanical engineering degree, first being a tradesman, then a mechanical engineering degree, suited me particularly well because it was getting back to first principles, physics, chemistry, and those basics of engineering. And everything I design, you'll see, looks simple in the end. But, the complexity happens before it gets to market.
So in university, you started your first business. Can you tell me what that was and why did you start it?
Yeah, 1996, I was 3 years into the double degree, engineering and business at QUT, Gardens Point. And it was all making sense to me. It was great. After being a tradesman, apprentice and tradesman for 7 years, I left school after year 10. So I also had to study night school to get my senior to get into the course.
Right.
While I was working as a tradesman in Kalgoorlie in Western Australia.
Okay, right.
So I got to university and it all made sense, but I was pushing all my university projects to be based on knives because I had been hand making knives. Yeah, I'd already been hand making knives, and as an apprentice or a tradesman, fitter and turner, you're surrounded by all the the machines you need.
Mm.
So I did a fair quantity of foreign orders for myself with the boss's blessing after hours or whatever. And a lot of those were knives. So by the time I got to university, I wanted to go deeper and figure out the metallurgy, the geometry of cutting edges, the surface finish of cutting edges under the microscope, because I suspected that's where it was all happening, but no one really knew.
Mm.
They just had the old techniques and followed them. And the more I looked at it, the more I discovered most of that, what they thought was science, was old wives' tales.
Mm.
You know, it was just the tradition that had been carried on, and it worked in practice to a point, but they didn't fully understand why.
Mm.
And so that's what my honours thesis was on knife materials and cutting edges.
Mm.
And it was a year-long study with wear testing machine I developed, scanning electron microscope, all the knife materials, all the different methods of sharpening, and that made a giant matrix of micrographs for different materials and different edges, and at different stages of wear, so it all made sense by the end of that.
Was there a breakthrough moment when you thought, I could turn this into a business? And like, where did the business side of it come from? Like, you're clearly great at learning and curious, but why make it a business?
I guess because, well, at the same time as the blade geometries and materials, I was working on handle shapes because my old chef friends were saying, these are the best brands, this German brand or that German brand back then. And they looked like engineering dinosaurs to me, with rivets and old forged heavy bolsters and things like that. And the materials and the way they made their cutting edges for speed and efficiency, not for the best cutting edge, And so I figured something out as well with knife handles, because a lot of the chefs I knew had arthritis and carpal tunnel. And they said, it's just what happens. It's just repetition. You're going to get sore hands.
Yeah.
I said, well, why are all your knife handles shaped in the opposite direction that you would want to reduce fatigue on your hands? And the more I dug deeper, it was because that's just the way it had been done for about 800 years, because the first chef's knives were just descended from daggers and things. Like there were no chefs. There were people who cooked some stuff, for highway inns or for the family, but no one was a professional chef until the French Revolution, when all the cooks for the nobility were out of a job because all their bosses lost their heads. So they, so they said, oh, well, why don't we try and make it for the next tier down of nobility who can afford to come and sit in a fancy room, and we'll serve them this same fancy food we'd been making for the aristocrats.
Right.
And that's how the French started their culinary domination, really. But they were using these knives that were developed from short swords and daggers and things. So they had the old, thick at the tail pummel, and they taper down towards the blade, and everyone's still making the same mistake, except for the ones who copied.
What is the perfect? Shape. What is the shape?
Well, what you want is a wedge. In the direction that you're pushing. You want the handle to get fatter towards the blade, because chefs are trained to do most of their cuts and their heavy cuts down and forwards. So the hand will want to creep forward. But it's pretty clear no one was slipping and cutting themselves. And the mechanism is that the brain tells your hand to squeeze as tight as it needs to avoid the slip. To generate more friction on the handle. Right? But if your hand's pushing down a decreasing taper, you've got to squeeze way harder than if you were pushing into an increasing taper. It's very... I should have brought some knives so I could do the test, because even chefs don't know it.
Well, it's funny, even you just explaining this is like, I haven't really thought about a knife handle as much as I have in the last 3 minutes of my life, you know.
Why would you?
And
no one does.
And no one does.
Yeah.
No one has questioned it until you came along and started to really think about how could this be improved.
Yeah.
But I think like what I'm discovering just off camera speaking with you and now is that, one, you're passionate about how things could be better, but you're very good at storytelling.
Oh, yeah.
And describing like why that matters and where the history has been with a knife, for example.
Yeah.
So is that part of the success of, or was that part of the success of starting that business? Or
it must be, because it's me. I mean, I started the businesses and I was the accountant and marketer and salesperson, everything in the early days of each business. And I get them to a point that I know it's going to be a goer. And then I start to bring in the best of the best.
How long did that take? How long did it take to?
Oh, Furi Technics, the knife company?
Yeah.
Well, and actually I didn't answer your original question. It was the chefs who I started to make prototypes, putting together what I discovered about blades and handles, and they loved them.
Yep.
And so I just thought, well, I'll sell a few to chefs and that'll be a nice little hobby business. But what happened was the chefs started to write about them or take them on TV and things like that. And then the public got excited. And that's when I figured I'd better learn about commerce. I was doing a business degree, engineering and business double degree. Yep. So I had a bit of an idea, but I had to learn pretty quickly at that point how to deal with retailers, how to export, and all the mechanisms to make it work. But did I answer the new question now?
Well, I guess, was there a moment where you went like, this business is working? Like, I've got a business on my hands here?
Yeah, and that was it basically. When the public started to say, hey, we believe what the chefs are saying and we know that you're not paying them to say it.
Yeah.
Because you've got no money.
Yeah, it's authentic.
It's authentic. So I had hundreds. I had all the best chefs of Australia. I had hundreds of good chefs saying these are the best and we use them just because they're the best, not because we're paid or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I took that marketing, I kept doing it like that, just grassroots, because the product was so good that people with experience know it as soon as they use it. And I did that the same with the new company, the cookware company. I knew that if I made the product so clearly better than anything else, that the experts would recognize it without me having to be a marketing guy and push it on them, you know. So that's what happened. So, you know, giving samples to the right people is a big part of both businesses.
So it sounds like you're onto an absolute winner. You've got celebrity chefs going, these knives are the best in the business. You've got yourself, who's a brilliant marketing storyteller, and the technician behind the brand, obviously know what you're doing. Why not ride this business off into the sunset? Sounds amazing. You eventually sold it. Why did you do that?
Yeah, well, it was getting too big in general. You know, I like small businesses and really, I just like the design of making the world's best of something. And but to survive, it's got to be commercially viable. So I had to learn all the commercial side of business to promote my designs and make some money out of it. But I think that it should be possible. Anyone who can design things that are quite unique and the best of their kind, if they learn a little bit of commerce and how to build an authentic brand, they can not only make money from it, but you should be, if you've got enough innovation and something that's truly the best, you can do better than make money. You can build something so powerful that it goes on for generations. You know, as you know, this is where I say that that's what motivates me. It's, you know, the money's not a motivator for me. It's building a non-monetary legacy that I can hand on to inspire other people. And that might be my kids, but it's also the wider population, you know, or people who want to be in business. They want to manufacture in Australia, but they don't know how. It seems impossible. and they're mostly correct.
Is that part of the reason why you sold that business, dealing overseas and working in those markets?
It got too big, and it was, I took it to the USA in 2005. I opened our subsidiary company in San Francisco, and it went ballistic because we had celebrity chef endorsement at that point. It's different in the USA. They don't listen to any explanations or long stories. They just want to see what the cool people are using on TV and then just buy it like that,
Yeah.
So I knew that, and fortunately a rising star, Rachel Ray, bought our stuff at one of the stores we're in. We're already there in a pretty big way for years by then. And she loved it, and she was about to shoot a new series. So her manager called and said, hey, Rachel's going to use your stuff regardless. She doesn't want to use anything else anymore. But what we should do is make us both a bit of money from this. We get an endorsement fee. You put her face on the packaging and the marketing. And then she took my knives on Oprah and Leno and all the chat shows,
Wow.
And so I made sure I printed a big Furi logo across the blade.
Smart.
So they're zooming in on her chopping on the board, and there's my logo.
Wow.
20, 50 million viewers.
And that was on Oprah?
Oh, all of them. Yeah, Oprah multiple times, because she was like a protege of Oprah's. And Rachel Ray ended up with her own chat show of course, focused mainly on food, but a general chat show as well.
Yeah.
With my products everywhere. So it was.
Did it skyrocket after,
It went ballistic. We went into all the big stores, the chains, and and chains of 2,000 stores.
Yeah.
It's not like Australia.
Wow.
Opening orders of $500,000, top-up orders of $250,000. And big numbers. But I had to go, I didn't have to, but I wanted to go do the commerce with my sales managers and things like that for the important accounts. And I just didn't like what I was seeing.
What were you seeing?
Just the greed. The love of money above all else. They didn't care about my products. They cared about the margin and how much money they were going to make. So, it's, obviously that's pure capitalism. That's what they wanted. That's what they got. But it's not my way of living. So, after a few years of that, I completely had the shits. I had 2 young babies at home that I was barely seeing. And I said, this is it. Plus, I could see a recession coming. So I sold in 2008 before most people knew it was coming.
Good timing.
Yeah. But we can tell the CEOs of once you get to a certain size, there's KPIs, your key performance indicators. There's a few of those that are leading indicators in our type of business for the economy in general. So
what were they? Give me the heads up in case we're leading into a recession.
Yeah, average debtor days.
Yeah.
That's a big one. Once your customers start to, and you can't tell if you're just looking at a few accounts, but when you've got a lot of accounts, and that average, so that's just the amount of time it takes for your customers to pay their account.
Yeah.
That starts to stretch out. Then the bankruptcies, or over there it's Chapter 11 is the first step. And that's like a receivership where they basically just walk away from all their debts and then ask for more product.
Okay.
In the American style.
Right.
And then Chapter 7 is full bankruptcy.
Yeah.
So I saw all those, and then, and of course your revenue, margins, they start to beat you up more on price when they start to panic. So I sold when I saw all this happening, but I sold to a private equity firm because I had 3 of my competitors in due diligence trying to buy me out.
Oh, okay.
But they had access to all the same information. So their offers started to go because they knew.
Yeah.
But the private equity firm was the most bullish, and against my better judgment, I sold to them.
Okay.
And they promptly destroyed it.
Okay. So how did that leave you feeling, money in the bank, I guess, selling at a good time?
Yeah.
But did you feel like you had something else to give to the world?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Well, I was in my 40s, and I had half a life to go, I figured, with a bit of longevity in the family, if I look after myself. I've got a whole other career ahead if I want it, or whatever I want to do.
Are you the kind of guy who could just go to a beach, put your feet up and go, oh, well, that was, in a business sense, that's a success. The business is gone. I got paid. I can probably relax for a while. Is that what you did?
Well, it took me 6 years to start the second business, So I did a 2-year contract. I moved to France in 2012. So, for a 2-year contract with an old French company, Debouillet, and they were great. They wanted a knife division, their first in 200 years, and they used to be my distributor for Europe. And I said to them, hey, my non-compete's finished. I'm going to start a new knife company. Got these cool prototypes, way cooler than the old company, and particularly suits your high-end old French brand, because I was using carbon fibre molded handles, like real carbon fibre and stuff. And they liked it so much, they said, no, do it under our brand, not yours.
Okay.
And we'll move you to France. And
nice.
So they made it all easy.
Yeah.
Did that for 2 years. Then, and it was so much fun living there. We stayed.
Which part of France?
Dijon for the first 5 years. That's the capital of Burgundy, like heartland, right in the middle of the country. Food and wine,
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
And just a beautiful, beautiful place, quiet,
Yeah.
heartland type stuff, but beautiful.
Did you learn French in that time, or did you already?
Yeah, I already spoke French, well, I thought I spoke French.
Yeah.
Until you move to a country, you don't really speak the language.
Yeah.
But then the last 3 years were in Antibes near Nice, the port town.
Yeah.
And we still got a place there, actually. So that was fantastic. But then the pandemic hit. And I started Solid Technics in 2014 while I was living in France.
Oh, right. Okay.
Australian
so you
company.
Working for this, doing the knives with this fancy chef-oriented business, and wasn't that enough? You were like, I could do something else here on the side? Was that sort of what happened?
Well, because that whole 6 years I was planning the next chapter, and I actually wrote a book for myself, because it was meant to be written in black and white very clearly what my manifesto was for the second half of my life.
Right.
Because I didn't want to do it the same way. If I was going to do business again, I wasn't going to do it the traditional way.
What was important to you about starting a new business in this second part of your life?
Well, just to be more authentic, and not fall into the trap of, because what you find in business, even if you start out with the best intentions, I've just got the world's best product and I want people to buy some of them, the money people get involved, and then they say, oh, but you could do this and that, you could get some more debt, you could grow faster and open offices over here and get lots more staff and leverage up, and it's great if you just want to make money. But then you've got, then you've got to deal with banks, lawyers, accountants, greedy people as well in the business. Yep.
So money starts to make the decisions instead of the person.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I never wanted that. So I just wanted to design the best products, So second time around, I said, what I'll do, I'll do it on my terms, so that I'll make the products after people get excited. They can pre-order, then they'll have to wait. I'll make the products and ship it to them. And if they don't like that, that's fine. Don't buy my products,
Yeah.
And what that did was it meant that I could use their money to build the second business, not my money.
Okay.
And it worked so well with crowdfunding, because, the big difference as well was social media happened.
Yeah.
between the old business and the new business.
Yeah. So just
Crowdfunding.
reversing a little bit, and for context for those at home, the company's Solid Technics. And
Solid Technics.
what is it? What is it? What's the idea? What's the? I guess what's that first video look like on a crowdfunding website? What was the message you were telling to people?
The message was, I've got the world's best of something, and I don't know if you want it or not. If you do, you're going to have to tell me by placing your order and giving me your money.
And what is it?
Then you'll have to wait.
What is the product?
Cookware. Yeah. Yep. Didn't I say that?
No, you may have. Sorry. But cookware, what sort of cookware, more specific? What is it?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't have done cookware unless I was pretty sure it was something special, because there's not many markets more competitive than knives, except cookware.
Okay.
In the housewares or restaurant industry, cookware is the most competitive and the toughest.
Yeah. Followed
by knives, because the numbers are big. There's big players involved. You look at DuPont and Teflon, these big companies, massive. And so I could see that if I was going to do that business, because I already had ideas, I always wanted to do cookware, but I knew it would have to be so clearly the best that people would put their money up front. They'd have the confidence to have a go. And the problem I wanted to solve, and I worked on it for decades while I was making the knives in Furi Technics, was the chefs were saying, well, it's great that you've made a one-piece knife, because Furi knives are the blade and the handle all one piece, and so it's stronger, it's going to last longer, it's more hygienic, all those things. Plus I had my blades and my handle shape, and they kept saying to me, why don't you do that for cookware? Because, we cook mostly on these steel pans, and back then it was mostly French steel pans, carbon steel, or aluminium and stainless steel. That's basically all they used. They said, but they all got rivets, and the rivets always work loose eventually, and they build up grime around the rivets, and when we're washing them, the steel wool threads get caught in there, then they end up in the plate of the customer, and we just keep using them until one day that whole pan separates and we got to clean it up off the floor. So if you could eliminate the rivets and make a one-piece pan, that would be perfect. And I said, well, the reason it hasn't been done ever is that to manufacture like that in the machinery that exists isn't really possible. To manufacture a thick 3 or 4 millimeter thick solid iron or solid stainless steel pan, you can't just press them out. You've got to do something else. And it was great, because I eventually figured out, well, if I could combine a series of processes that imitated or mimicked the way humans used to make wrought iron pans, and they were the standard since the start of the Iron Age. So for over 3,000 years, wrought iron pans were the standard and everyone had them. Because before that it was a Bronze Age, and so they had bronze, which worked okay until you put acidic food in it, then you get poisoned,
It's no good.
No, it's not ideal. But they knew that. So eventually the French figured out how to tin line their copper pans.
Okay.
But that was much later. So they just couldn't use bronze or pans for acidic cooking. So as soon as the Iron Age came along, they go, this is great, we can use them for everything. But they had to hand hammer that entire pan from a billet of cast iron, or maybe already wrought into a block, and then get it red hot and with a big arm and a big hammer, thrash it into the shape of a pan.
Right.
And they did that.
Sounds like hard work.
Thousands of years. And then some genius a few hundred years ago figured out how to rivet on just a strip of steel to the body. That was easier to make, just the body, you know.
Yeah.
Then the machines got big enough to press thin-walled steel into the pan itself, and then they rivet on a strip of steel for the handle. It stayed that way for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Cast iron was really mostly a decorative or heavy, sturdy object technique, you know. They couldn't make pans economically from cast iron until they reduced the cost of the smelting with a new furnace style a couple of hundred years ago. Then cast iron got popular because it was like the poor man's wrought iron.
Okay.
It was cheaper.
Yeah.
It was much worse, but it was much cheaper. So people started to use that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, stainless steel, aluminium. And then the biggest mistake of all, the synthetic non-sticks came along.
What is wrong with most household cookware in Australia, in the world? All the same stuff. What's wrong with it? Most pans and cookware people are using?
Well, when you imagine that probably still definitely upwards of 80%. It was much higher until a few years ago when people started to hear about the toxicity of synthetic non-stick, you know. They did a good job of keeping it quiet. DuPont got the biggest ever industrial fine in the USA, you know, 20 plus years ago, but they had a powerful lobby group in Washington. And so they were able to keep selling it to the consumers.
What was the fine for?
What was
the fine for? What was the industrial fine?
For poisoning the water table of a whole region, for birth defects for their employees who were pregnant, for livestock in the region, deformities, etc.
All coming from the factory.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, highly toxic.
Yeah.
Worst of all, their so-called scientists, their corporate scientists, knew, and they buried it. And then the authorities at the EPA, etc., knew, but they were paid off. And so they were fined for all this, and they said, no, it's okay now. We changed the polymer chain, and now it's definitely safe. And so they're still making it, but with a slightly different polymer chain. And like their first polymer, it's only a matter of time.
What's a polymer? Sorry.
Plastic. So they're plastic coated. Yeah.
I don't know if that's common knowledge. I didn't know what that was.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Okay.
So basically you're cooking on a petrochemical plastic coating, and it's toxic to manufacture, toxic to heat up, and that's meant to be the point, toxic to dispose of. And there's no coated pans made in Australia because we're Australia's only production cookware manufacturer. We're it, and we'd never touch them because I've been watching this for decades. And so they're toxic all the way through. And all these non-stick pans coming into Australia, they're all imported. So they might last a year or two, and then they go in our landfill, not theirs. So the damage is done making them. The damage is done to our health cooking on them. The damage is done putting them in the earth. So all those materials that could have been used for something beneficial have been used for something toxic and disposable. So one of the big missions of Solid Technics is not to make a sustainable industry, but to regenerate the whole industry. And it can happen in a lot of industries, so we want it to happen in other industries. So we're proving it out in our industry that if you come up with something that's non-toxic, multi-century durable, made locally, then if people start to buy that and stop buying the imported toxic disposable item, then they'll use, like our pans last for hundreds of years. You know, it's pretty obvious if you know the engineering. They will last easily for several hundred years. So that pan will last your whole life. You never buy another one of that style for your whole life. Then you pass it on to your kids or your grandkids. It does their whole life and the next 10 or 20 generations. Free, non-toxic cookware.
You're paving the way for how things can be manufactured in Australia and sustainably. But is that good for business? And how hard is that to create a business in that model?
Yeah, I know what you're saying because the finance types tell me all the time, eventually you're going to run out of customers. And I say, well, great, my job's done at that point. And if I haven't come up with something else, then bad luck. You know, but I can come up with other things. There's other things in the planning.
So it is possible. It is possible to create a business where clearly you're popular. You know, you're a cookware company in Australia with 120,000. You've got like 120,000 Instagram followers and a cult-like following. Like you're doing something that's capturing the imagination of people. I guess my question is, how can others do the same? How can others do the same? Like how hard is it?
Yeah, well, I hinted earlier it's basically impossible, but it's slightly possible if you get everything right. That's that. And, you know, even in my first business, this one's much more difficult to be competitive in cookware made in Australia and exporting it all around the world. I mean, we're the only ones in Australia for a reason. All the other old Australian brands, they soon went out of business when the Chinese started to copy them. The Australians had already copied the Europeans and the Americans. So everyone had the same kind of product, slight tweaks here and there, different price points depending on where it's manufactured. Well, the Australian manufacturers didn't do anything new. They just kept trying to compete on price. And of course they got slaughtered. So those old Australian brands of Steel and Bessemer and stuff like that, most of them disappeared. But any of them that you see that still exist, it's because they're made in China. They moved there decades ago. With the, you know, the commensurate quality issues. But it is possible if you get everything right. But the most important thing is innovation. Because without that, if you've got the same product as everyone else overseas, our high labour costs, our high material costs, all the costs in Australia will mean that you've got no chance. And so that's why most Australian designers and manufacturers give up. As soon as they come up with a new idea for a product, they automatically go to China, or now, you know, it might be Vietnam, wherever's cheapest, you know. But you can keep it in Australia if it's the first of its kind in the world, has to be, so you can patent it.
Okay.
Then it's protected.
That's
and
a big
it won't
part.
be copied. Yeah.
Be the best and patent it.
If you can't patent it, you'll be copied overnight. As soon as they see your success, then they'll copy it. So world's best, first of its kind, patent protection, have a manufacturing method so efficient that you can compete on price with the best of the overseas stuff coming in, like we do. Like we're not the most expensive cookware, even though we're made in Australia. And then after all that, make gross margin. So make the product so good and so efficiently that customers are very happy to pay that, you know, $180 for a skillet. But there's enough margin in there to pay for all your Australian costs because it's such a good product and the customers are happy with the price. So you can make some margin. Whereas if you were trying to compete with everyone else with the same product on price, you'd have close to zero margin and you wouldn't have it for long.
That's a race to the bottom.
Yep, absolutely. So, you know, like I said, we're trying to prove this to inspire other Aussie manufacturers to do the same. Preferably not in our industry. We quite like it being the only one. Yep. But, you know, apply the same principles to any industry. And it's not just to employ Australians and make money and all those nice things. It's to replace the toxic and disposable stuff in every industry that's imported. Because once you do better than that and make it locally, you don't need those imports anymore. And what if the ships stop coming? Again, we only had a little taste of it in COVID, but it's coming again. So what happens if you can't make cookware and knives for any stretch of time? You know, pretty essential stuff. And there's a lot of that. You can think of a lot of examples in Australia where if the ships stopped coming for any length of time, we'd be in a fair bit of trouble because we don't make much at all.
So how big can Solid Technics get? Or maybe the question is, how big do you want Solid Technics to get?
Yeah, well, it's almost no limit because we know what to do now. It's just a matter of getting more machines and more people. So that's fine. I mean, with 6 months or up to a year lead time, we can get the machines in place and, you know, increase capacity a fair bit and use more subcontractors for different components. And so we can go a lot bigger. And, you know, already I've got a CEO. I've employed a CEO who's fantastic, so I don't have to be in the weeds with the commerce. So I can keep just focusing on the innovation and the design, coming up with new things for that point where everyone's got my pans and they don't need any more, you know.
Yeah. And you said, you know, what's next for Solid Technics? You said you want to spread that message to other industries and pave the way for other people. Yeah. What does that look like? Have you started doing that, or is that a next chapter sort of thing?
Yeah, we're starting this year with a lot more mentoring and, you know, speeches and conferences and papers. I did publish one chapter from my book that was specifically on the future of ethical commerce and how to do it, because that's what this company is, you know. We're employing Australians, so with all the environmental protections, all the labour protections, I'm very happy to do it. We're making things that last for centuries that are non-toxic. You know, we treat our staff like humans, like colleagues, not like robots. So it is possible, and I want to show people how to do it. But there's a few, you know, that's kind of the mechanics. There's also the soft human side. You got to be born for it, basically, because it's so hard that most people don't have the pain threshold.
Go through the hard times.
Yeah, well, you know, your own business. There's nothing easy about running your own business. And if you want to add being the world first and innovation and manufacturing in Australia and exporting worldwide on top of that, it's definitely not easy, but the rewards are there if you can get it right, not just for yourself, but for the whole country.
Yeah.
You know, and for the future, for the, you know, to regenerate. We've made a lot of mistakes in manufacturing and making stuff in general across the whole earth. And we've done a lot of damage. And if we keep going like that, there won't be a habitable earth. You know, we're extracting all the resources and there's a finite amount you can extract. There's a finite amount of pollution you can add to the earth. Finite amount of population, you know. And we're about to supercharge it all with AI. AI, if we let it teach us, would say, well, don't do that because you're shitting in your own nest and eventually you won't be able to stay in that nest. Well, that's what they'll try to tell us, but the billionaires are going to control it and keep the money for themselves no matter the damage they do to the planet. So if you think we're doing damage now, wait till they can do it at scale with robotics and very intensive. Like they're already talking, and I mean the world's experts. I'm not talking about conspiracy theorists on Facebook. I'm talking about the world's experts in AI. They're already saying that the GDP of the entire Earth will be at least 10 times the size it is now within a matter of years.
Wow.
So where's that going to come from?
Yeah.
Resources. So the resources we've already strained on this earth are about to be strained at a very rapid rate.
Yeah.
And the money they make, I fear, won't be shared.
Can't it work the other way?
It should work the other way. It's not going to because humans are greedy. And the ones with the power are the greediest. So what's going to happen is we'll all be out of employment, or 90% of us, and they'll be keeping all the money to themselves, except for maybe universal basic income to keep our mouths shut and keep us at home. But there's certain of us who won't do that. We'll want to keep producing something for the humans who care. So that's the next phase. It's the more artisan products, and handmade stuff, handmade art, artisan products. That's what the humans will, that's what they'll want. They won't want the machine-made stuff that will actually cost almost zero. You can have whatever you want for almost zero in 5 years' time.
Maybe this is just wishful thinking, but is there an opportunity here to go against the grain, of AI and robotics and all of that? And like you said, there will be people who want the handmade things. There will be people who want more of a human connection. I know at Raw Lens, our tagline is now beautifully human, creatively connected.
Smart.
In a world of AI, of course we use AI tools to make things faster in the edit, but I don't want to replace you, for example, and this conversation with a fake Mark Henry, which I can technically do.
Yeah, easy.
Which is scary, is super scary.
Easy.
But like the day that happens is it already is happening, but the day that becomes the norm where there's not real conversations is a very scary day. And so I think there is a market where people crave that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. That's what exactly my boys are 19 and 17 choosing their universities courses. And I'm saying, well, just about what university should have always been for, and it started out like this, was to learn how to think and make the right decisions, not to become a walking encyclopedia or a low-grade robot, because the encyclopedias and now IT and now the robots will thrash us every time at that stuff, do what only humans can do. And that's really the only tip going forward. You got to figure out what the machines can't do, because if you're doing anything that machines can do, you got 2 years. 2 years for intellectual computer-based stuff, 5 years for physical stuff, because all that AI is about to be embodied in machines that move, whether it's humanoid robots or smaller or dedicated or whatever, and eventually just amorphous masses of particles that become anything they want to become. And at that point, the humans who have still got the money are going to seek out the humans who are hand-making things. Or like you're giving direct service. Your tagline already shows that you get it, and you want your customers to know now so they remember you when it all becomes automatic and cheap.
Yeah, that's right. I don't want to end on a negative. I think we're dancing with this line of what the world can look like, right?
Yeah.
What does the world look like for you now? You've designed knives, you're now designing cookware, but you've designed your life as well to a certain extent. You've got a CEO. So, where are you at most peace, and how do you live your life now?
Yeah. Well, I guess with that kind of knowledge though, you don't know, you can't fully know how to build a good life unless you know the potential downside and know how to avoid it, right? How to work with it. So I know what's coming because I've paid attention. And that's kind of also my role as owner of the company, to have a bigger overview of the future and the world and things like that. So it's not much fun getting into the news to try and figure it all out. But if I don't do that, there's a lot of people depending on me to steer us through all this. including my own kids. So I think I've got a pretty good idea of the probabilities. It's all probabilities because there's a lot of different things that could happen, and it's not all negative. I mean, we're going to have a golden era as well, for sure, but it's going to be very different, and it's going to be a bit of a shock for people. So I think building your resilience for change, opening your mind up to the possibilities of what's coming, and just knowing that nothing's going to be the same within 2 years. I mean, it's a very short time frame for people to get their head around it. If they bury their head in the sand, then look up and go, holy shit, what is this world, you know? It could be a bit of a shock. So at least, you know, have a bit of a scan of the headlines of the world's experts and what they're saying, so you can start to think about your own positioning for the future. But in a practical sense, it's got to be, unless you want to fully participate in that artificial world, which could be quite pleasant because everything will be free.
Put the goggles on?
Put the goggles, won't even be goggles. You won't need them. I mean, it'll be straight to your nervous system, and you won't be able to tell the difference between the virtual world and the real world, except the virtual world will be 1,000,000 times better. So people won't want to come back into the real world much at all. It's too painful. It's too expensive to get out there and do things. On universal basic income, I can stay at home and stay in this epic virtual world 22 hours a day. But, you know, there's some of us who want to stay human and want to participate. So we get our communities together now, or our businesses. You've positioned yours to be human. I'm positioning mine to be human, because that's what we want to do. That's the future we want. But what it means is there'll be small niches, but maybe at a higher cost, and you won't need much money to live anyway. So you use the best of the benefits of AI and robotics to make your day-to-day life inexpensive, and then you got all this free time to be an artist or an artisan.
That sounds pretty good to me.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, if you start to set yourself up for that now, but if you try to hang on to your, you know, your accounting job or your law job or whatever right to the end, you won't have the skills or even the personal brand to make the jump, because it'll be too late once everyone realizes that most of the jobs are gone. Oh, now I want to be an artist, but so will everyone else who wants to work. A bit late to build your personal brand. So get in now. And I say to my boys, go study, learn how to think at university, learn how to problem solve, but keep working with your hands. And I already get them in the workshop a lot, casting and forging and making things.
Nice.
So they've got some real skills. And I say to them, go do your traditional career, but keep the artisan stuff going and start building your brand now, so you get a little following now. So you can show that you've always wanted to do this, and here I am, and I'm not going to be a robot, I'm going to be a human.
Amazing. And thank you so much for coming in today and sharing all your wisdom. And you've lived many lifetimes, it seems, within one.
Yeah, you can tell. A bit rough for 29. It's been hard 29 years.
Done well in 29 years. Well, I like to land on this last question with all my guests, and that is, where are you at most peace?
At most peace on the farm, in the workshop, if I'm making what I want to make, you know, new prototypes and art pieces. Either that or a perfect day in the surf. Yeah, a nice point break offshore, good size.
Sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, time.
Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having us, mate, and much appreciated. I like what you're doing. I think you're in good shape for the future.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching the show. This podcast is truly a passion project for me and the small but awesome team behind the scenes. We pour our hearts into bringing you these honest and insightful conversations, but I can't tell you how much it helps when you hit that follow or subscribe button. The show gets bigger, which means we can expand the production, and we can continue to bring in amazing guests from all walks of life. Please help us to do this thing that we love and hit that follow or subscribe button. We appreciate you being here. Thank you.